War. War always changes. It all started when Egypt fired missiles into Syria. The world awaited reconciliation. Instead, something terrible happened. After day 20, people awoke from the roleplay event. Weeks of unrealistic gameplay led to a shortage of active players. The entire server unraveled. Realism became a distant memory. It is now day 34. We stand on the brink of total war, and I'm afraid for my content, for the Discord, for this RP. Because if my time playing Con has taught me one thing, it's that war always changes. Howdy folks, and welcome back to WW3. As you saw in the intro, the realism in this RP event is basically shot. That is down to a variety of factors and isn't any one person's fault. We have had the inactivity issue, the moderation issue, and the bad player issue. Now, before I continue, let me state that I will basically cover the issues of the RP in the start of the video, go over the roleplay aspect and what is going on in the middle of the video, then at the end offer some constructive thoughts and say what I've learned from this RP event. Timestamps are below. Please keep in mind that while this RP has Nick's name on it, he wasn't really a part of organizing or moderating it. His participation was mostly a formality, and in no way was he involved in any of the poor decision making or unrealistic gameplay in this event. Other people from the Discord, not including myself, were in charge of organizing this event. The person in charge of this event made some mistakes initially, but was overall level-headed and learned a lot from this. Some of the moderators, however, are not fit for such a task, especially when under pressure. Then we have players doing hyper-unrealistic actions within the game without any roleplay precedent to do so. I'm still going to roleplay out of necessity for now, but it has been a tiring process. Mostly because of how out of my way I have to go to prevent a world war I don't want, and having to roleplay around unrealistic events truly breaks any level of immersion I have had in the past. Playing Russia is nice because of the influence, but I honestly was having more fun playing as Libya because things were actually kind of realistic in the very early days of this event. Now, let's get into the major events that happened these past couple of weeks, and not necessarily in order. So, on the India-Pakistan border, India has of course been ready for war for a while now, and seems to be poised to strike at any moment. They actually have Australian forces there as well, such as an AWACS. Kazakhstan went AFK and the AI withdrew from the coalition, which of course was not only a blow to Russia's combat capabilities, but was also a blow to my morale towards the RP. Venezuela got a new player after the previous one got attacked by NATO, and a series of events I know little about. The player previously controlling Angola replaced the AFK player for Egypt, which is epic, and now Egypt-Russia relations are improving. The new player for Angola seems to be cool as well. The player for Colombia got China now, and I think Russia and China will have a strong relationship that they should in an RP. This will really make the East a force to be reckoned with, and at some point we'll draft up some sort of pact, treaty, or alliance. Sweden is still being an unrealistic warmonger, and they actually have been crossing into my border for weeks at this point. Belarus shot down one of their intruding UAVs, and everyone got in a big tizzy. After I found out about it, I was alright with it. It was justified for sure. NATO has been treating the Nordic countries as if they are a part of NATO at this point. If I took out the troops and planes on the border near St. Petersburg and Kaliningrad, I'm pretty sure NATO in this RP would just all declare war at once. NATO is, of course, playing the aggressor as they have been this whole RP, which is the inverse to how they should be, whether you think they are the baddies IRL or not. Mainly because sending weapons, vehicles, and supplies from NATO countries like Germany to a war front involves a bunch of bureaucracy and takes time and public support. They aren't just going to put battalions of troops from Germany, Spain, Italy, Poland, and France on the border of a rival nation unless World War actually started. And in this RP, it has by no means started. The US, though, well, they like to have their fingers in everyone's pie, so that fits. Finland, whether it was an AFK bot or the player themselves, did something ridiculous, which was the straw that broke the camel's back for me enjoying this RP. They actually invaded Lithuania. They invaded Lithuania. Article 5 was not invoked on Finland, but they got some sanctions. I roleplayed the possibility of liberating Lithuania from Finland and from the rogue state. But according to the player of the UK, the player of Japan, and the player of Norway, if I were to take Finland's occupied land, that would invoke Article 5. Yep, they actually said that. If a player controlled NATO or NATO ally actually captured and maintained control of Lithuania, that would have made the RP untenable for me, as that would be a great flanking point for invasion. So since the UK and Japan were trying to have Norway temporarily hold the land until an observer took it, I thought it was best to go to an observer and ask them if they could just take it. Doc, an observer and the player of Chile, said he would take it. And honestly, that prevented World War III from starting sooner in this RP. Oi, oi, oi. That was a chore. And I don't know why we're role-playing around unrealistic events as egregious as that. All we needed was a moderator to say, this observer will take Lithuania from Finland when they get online. Easy. But I had to spend several real-life hours fixing the situation and preventing the RP from ending, for better or for worse. But hey, on the plus side, Carl has been an incredible ally to have and just keeps knocking it out of the park. He's playing as Belarus, of course. Oh, and I guess some spicy things happened with Indonesia and Thailand. North Korea is firing missiles near Japan, which is kind of funny. Turkey started invading Syria after writing many articles explaining it and making his intentions very clear, but he did forget to request explicit permission from a moderator to do so beforehand, so that didn't go well, unfortunately. Spain. So I'm going to put a bunch of articles on the screen, and if you want to read them, you'll have to pause the video, so apologies for that. Oh, and good news, it's time to admonish me as well. As it turns out, I didn't take into account the realistic amount of cruisers Russia should have. According to a Bing search, they should have 9 cruisers and 13 destroyers. This event takes place with no Ukraine war, so if the cruiser Moskva hasn't been sunk, Russia would have 10 cruisers. I didn't know what to do with these extra 6 cruisers, so I put them out of the way where they couldn't hurt anyone. Unfortunately, they will be draining my resources further, so if an observer wants to sink them, that would be fine by me. I asked a mod if putting them out of the way was sufficient, and they said yes. Though if any mod watching this has any other thoughts, feel free to DM me in Discord. Wow. Well, as you have probably gathered by now, my normal 1-week template for this RP is done. And that's because this isn't really a roleplay event anymore. It's just a con event with extra steps. I will roleplay until the event ends, and my last video of this event will be of the World War. But who knows when that will start and end. Honestly, should we just end the server with a bang? Not initiating war, but having mutually agreed upon destruction? Tell me in the comments below what your thoughts are. What did we learn, folks? Well, I learned that some people act like a crazed squirrel when under pressure. I also learned a lot about the good and bad ways to run an event from participating in this event and talking with the people who organized it. This may have been a massive waste of time if I wasn't going to organize events in the future, which I am pleased to say I will. I am especially excited to work with Nick on future events. Keep in mind, the events that Nick has been heavily involved in have been a lot of fun in the past. War is coming, and I hope you are looking forward to it. Fighting all of NATO, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and potentially Israel and India at the same time will make for a heck of a fight, and all go down in a glorious blaze of fire. Should be fun. I just hope they don't start a war when I'm not ready to record. And with that, I am sorry to say the RP is dead, in my opinion, as a roleplay event. It's been fun, and I hope you'll stick around to see the finale. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.